Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are not, but that's okay because you are here now at the January 2016 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting where you're going to learn how to be a nerd. And today we are talking about WDInfo and how it replaces your need to know anything about the indexer, even though we're going to tell you a little bit about that too. And projects, a great way to take a whole bunch of files, maybe from the same matter, maybe not, and put them in a place where you can send them as a group to people and share them. Without further ado, I will hit the magic buttons. Oops, not that one, not that one. Where am I? There we go. I'm lost.
You're lost.
I've lost my magic buttons. I know I am hitting the wrong thing there. We will hit the magic buttons. We will go out to Worldox, and I am going to talk about the indexer for a minute, and then Mary Jo's going to jump in and tell you about WDInfo. Now, what is the indexer? Can we see it? What does it look like? Well, I'm not even going to show it to you because there's nothing to see there. The indexer is really just a machine that sits in a corner or sits in a server room, and all day long, every 5 seconds, it wakes up and says, anything new? Okay. Anything new? Okay. Anything new? Okay. And eventually, something new happens. Somebody saves a document, somebody calls up another document, somebody creates a new document, and the indexer takes those things and records them, and it also takes those documents and their profiles and indexes them on the fly, so that 2 minutes later, when somebody else searches for all the documents that somebody's created today, or searches for something with the word that's in the description of that document, it'll be found. And then at night, the indexer really wakes up and does a reindex of the whole profile database, or on weekends it gets really wild and it reindexes every word in every document, creating a new text index. But that's what it does. It does the hard part of making these documents searchable, of making the searches find what you want to find. Do you care? No, you don't. The only time you ever care about the indexer is if it stops working. So do you have to know where it is? Do you have to go into the server room or in that back closet and look at it every hour? No, because we have this thing called WDInfo, and Mary Jo's going to show you how to use WDInfo to monitor the indexer so that you don't ever have to care about anything else that has to do with the indexer. Mary Jo?
Okay, so to get to the WDInfo information, you need to go out to your Worldox directory. And if you don't know where that is, most likely you've got some kind of a mapped drive out there that is probably to an apps. In our case, whenever we set up new installations, we usually try to use the W drive, and that's out there. If you don't know where it is, I'll show you how you can get to it to find that path. If you have Worldox open and you just right-click and say About Worldox, that is going to tell you all kinds of information about Worldox, and it's also going to tell you where it is being mirrored from. That is what you want to look for, that mirrored from. So in this case, I'm at the ACS Deployment Apps Worldox, so I know where that is. That will be whatever path yours is on. So if you need to find out where it is, that's how you can do that. And I'm going to just go into that Apps folder, go into my Worldox folder, and then I just start typing WDInfo, and that will take me down here to approximately where that is. So here's my WDInfo. Now, if you're a manager or somebody that's going to be monitoring this, there's usually 1 or 2 people in the firm that's looking at this WDInfo to get those notifications to find out if it's going to work or if it's failed or what's going on. I would suggest making a shortcut to the desktop. So to do that, you're just going to find this WDInfo.exe, right-click, send to the desktop as a shortcut. And I'm going to do that just because it's not going to hurt anything. Paul can put that out on his desktop here. So there it is. And then I would just rename this to be WDInfo. You can put that down onto your taskbar. You can do whatever you want, but now we've got it. And then once I open it, I'm just going to double-click to open it up. And maybe, there we go. I think it's thinking there. Paul, you want to try to open it? Maybe I don't have my double-click enabled from here. Is it working?
Yeah.
No? You're just saying that's too funny. All right, I'm just going to open it. I'm going to open it from here. All right, maybe it's just my shortcut. I'm going to go back out here and open it from here. But that should just open. I'm sorry. And it's just, this is just so funny and so typical because before we started, Paul's like, are you sure it's going to work? Are you sure it's going to open? And I said, oh, yeah, there will be no. This is going to work just great. I've had it open. And then what happens? My shortcut doesn't work. So that's just, I think, karma. All right, so I'm just going to open it from here. And I'm just not having.
Is it open? Is it running? Did I not
did
close
you leave
it?
Did you leave it open?
Yes, it's right there.
Oh my gosh! No wonder.
By testing it, I have created problems because I forgot to close it.
If you just left me alone. So here it is.
That's a good point. The point is, once you run it,
so I'm going
even
to
if you close it,
I'm going to close it. So it's actually close. My shortcut will work now.
It still stays down there until you actually do what you just did.
Yeah, I had to right-click it and close it. All right, so let's go back in.
We did that for a reason.
Oh my goodness. Now the other thing that you can do if you're a manager or if you're somebody that's going to be running this all the time is you can put that into your startup menu. So that will just start up along with Worldox in the morning and it will always be running. So that's something else that you can do if you are going to be one of these people to monitor it. So there's lots of things. But okay, so I've opened up WDInfo and there's this screen and you're going, what in the world does that mean, right? There's so many different things. So this WDInfo also gives me a lot of information, not just regarding the indexer, but regarding all kinds of things with Worldox. It gives me my license key, how many users I'm allowed to have, my max users, how many current users are in the software, how many mirrored users there are, if there's direct users, last refreshed, the refresh rate every 60 seconds. And then down here, it's going to give me my statuses for these drives. So I can look at my T drive. I could look at my X drive. I can see what drives have been last built. Now for us, the C, S, and T drive, those are old drives that we don't use. Our main drive is the X drive. This is the one that has all of our documents in there, and this is the one I'm concerned about. I want to know when the last text rebuild was. I want to know when the last post happened. I can see the record count profile and how much is in the text. This is the information that I want to see here, right on that. So I can see that there's information there, so that means it's okay. I also, if I click on the users, I can see all the users who are currently logged into Worldox. This is helpful if we're going to do an update or we're going to do something that requires us to get all users out of the system. I can go into WDInfo and super fast see who's still logged in and where they are, what computer, all of that, what they're doing. So that's on there. I'm going to go back to my health. Here's some things that you can do when I click on the health. I can set up email notifications to tell me if something happens and the indexer is no longer running. So I can add a new event, I can add a new email notification, and I can send that to these managers or to these people that I want to know that the indexer is not working right now. And so that's something that you can do. You can set up your properties, all of those things right here under the Edit Health Notifications. So that's good. You can refresh this anytime just to see if anybody's logged out or whatever, if this is still going, if I still have some information that's populating in here. If I refresh that, it should have made another pass. Now, I don't know who's using Worldox right now in our system, so if they've done anything in the last few seconds, but if they had, this would refresh and tell me when the last post had happened and things like that.
Now, I don't know if anybody noticed, but just a moment ago, this unposted item said 1. That's because Patty is either working at home or Leanne is in the room next to us working, and they had saved something. And remember, I said the indexer, every 5 seconds, it says, anything new? Okay, and it waits 5 seconds. During those 5 seconds, things get done, and when it wakes up and says anything new again, that's how many things are waiting for it. So the key, the one thing you want to pay attention to in here is this number. If this gets up to be 5 and 6,
10,
and
20,
then it goes
100.
to 10 to 20,
yeah,
that means
bad.
something's wrong. The only time you care about the indexer is when it's not running. And this number right here is going to tell you that it's not running. If it gets to be anything above a certain point, it doesn't go down very quickly.
So what if you're not looking at the screen all the time? So the chance that when you're going to know something's wrong with the indexer is somebody's going to come to you and say, I just saved a document and I can't find it. Or I'm searching and my search doesn't bring anything up and I know these documents are there. All of a sudden the search isn't working. Those are red flags, and that's when you want to go, oh, you know what, I better check this WDInfo if you haven't been doing that, and check that unposted items. Most likely you're going to hear from a user way before you look at this. But if you're one of those people that are looking at this on a regular basis, daily or whenever, to make sure everything's running okay, you would catch it here. So just a tool that you can use to do that.
Now, a couple more clarifications. Direct access is not searching. So if most of the people in your firm use direct access, which is very common, to go straight to a certain matters folder, it's not doing a search. So it will still find things even if the indexer is down if you're using direct access. Another thing to clarify is search will not stop working totally if the indexer goes down. It will just stop adding new things to the search indexes. So if the indexer went down a half an hour ago and 20 minutes ago you saved a new document and you can't find it by searching, that means the indexer has been down for at least 20 minutes. But the thing that you saved an hour ago still would be accessible using search. So you've got to understand that it's the indexer stopping doesn't mean the searching stops working altogether, just for things that were added or changed since the indexer stopped working. And that's really goes right back to this one number. If somebody comes to you and says, I can't find that document I saved an hour ago by searching, you just come here and you'll probably find that it's at 78 or 82, and you just need to somehow figure out what's wrong with the indexer. Usually that means call Mary Jo or call Paul, and we'll connect and take a look at your indexer.
Yeah, a lot of times what we find, the main reason as to why the indexer is not running anymore is Windows installed some kind of an update, it rebooted, so it didn't come up, something happened in that process, but it's usually very simple.
Yes.
So it's nothing, usually a major fail or something like that. It's just usually some simple thing.
Yeah, you have to remember our motto is no panicking allowed. If the indexer is down, it's usually not anything drastic to get it back up again.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about, oh, and one more thing. If you close that, it's not really closed.
Still open
it's
down
still
here.
Down there, and it's that W with the binoculars in it. And so that's how you get back to it. And in fact, what you can do is you can take this icon once you create it, put it in your startup over here on your start menu, and it will load every morning, and then you just need to know to look for it right here. So now I'm going to talk about projects. Projects is one of those often misunderstood, sometimes not known about at all things that is just sometimes revolutionary in what you can do with Worldox. Here I am, and I have, let's go to Purdue Law, for instance. I'm going to go to Direct Access, and I'm going to go to my Clients, Files Profile Group, and I'm going to go to Purdue, and I'm going to choose Purdue Law Offices, and I am going to go look at some documents. And I have several documents in here, let's pretend, that have to do with a certain project that we're doing right now. Why, there's this one, and this one, and that one, and way down here, some other document. I'm just going to see. All I ever save is email. I'm trying to find something other than email, but that's my life. And I want to be able to take these 4 emails or 4 documents, it could be Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, anything that's in here, and I want to be able to look at them as a group, kind of like creating a separate folder and throwing these documents in the folder. Only the problem with that is if you were to really create a separate folder and throw these documents into it, they'd be disconnected from Worldox, or you just can't have documents in more than one folder at a time without copying them. It just doesn't make sense. So we have this thing called a project, and you'll notice that the icon for a project is a little mini briefcase. It's like taking those documents and putting them in a briefcase so that you can give that briefcase to somebody else, or you can keep those documents together in there. The only difference between that and a real briefcase is you're really just throwing pointers to these documents into the briefcase. You're not taking the documents out of Worldox. They're still there, but when you drag them down here into the project area, and it's wanting me to confirm my intentions, do I want the 4 that I checked? I say yes. And it says no. I think I did something other than just drag them down there. Let's do that again. Yep, the 4 checked. There they are. So now what I've done is I've started a project by dragging these 4 things down here. Now here's part of the beauty of projects. If I then go to my favorite files and find, let's say, some of my Word favorites, and I take this document and I drag it down there too, which doesn't happen to be from Purdue Law at all, but it's part of this group of documents. And maybe I've got 2 other documents from another matter for the same client, and maybe I've got 3 other documents from some other place, and they're all supposed to come together into this one area. I can do that. I can add documents to this project, to this briefcase, shall we say, from anywhere. But what I'm creating is a container, a briefcase that contains links to these documents that I can then save and put somewhere. And I don't have to put it back in that matter. I'm going to call this the test project. I'm giving this project a name, kind of like naming a folder. And I can put it wherever I want. I can put it in my user folder. I can put it in the Purdue Law client files folder. I can put it in my special email folder. I can put it in the office folder. I'm going to put it in my user folder. I'm going to give it a doc type of taxes. Maybe these are all tax-related documents that come from all over the place in the firm's Worldox document library. And I did it. I saved it. Now if I go back to favorite files, and by the way, in favorites I can look just at projects or all favorites. I'm going to look just at projects. There it is. Now let's not confuse things. I'm going to close this project. Okay? And I'm going to actually, it's still there. I may not have it down here, but that project is a whole separate thing now. And when I open it up, it takes me to a separate tab with the name of the project and the documents that were in it. And so I can point somebody to that project, I can put the project away, and somebody can come and find it later. And when they open it, they're going to open this group of files. Now let's say that I want to edit that project. So I've opened it up, and now I click Edit, and now I can go out to favorite files and find, let's say, maybe a Excel document. And I can take this Excel document and move it down here as well. And then I can save as, replace the project, or give it a new name, give it a new project, create a new container with these 7 files instead of the old one with the 6. And I've just added a document to that project. So now when I go back to my favorite files and look at my projects, and just to be clear, we'll close this up so that we aren't confusing what's down here with what I'm about to do. When I open it, it's now got those 7 files in it. So projects are like suitcases or briefcases that I can throw links to files in. I can edit, I can add more links, I can open up the briefcase that already has 7 files in it and throw 6 more links to 6 different files, 6 other files in there, and I can just keep adding to this. So in my taxes example, I might go grab some 1099s that came in and are stored in the company's taxes folder, and I might add some stuff from different clients, and I might add some stuff from some emails that I sent that are in my email folder, and I might add some documents that are in my user folder, and it's just a way to throw them all together into a project or a briefcase called taxes and be able to keep that container as a place that I can continue to refer to these documents. It kind of works hand in hand with categories. It's kind of a different concept than categories. Kind of like document types, only this is something that you can just, anybody can throw together, store anywhere, use for anything. You don't have to think about what kind of category names you want, what kind of doc types. It's just a different way to categorize and group documents together for use later.
I have just one thing, or well, 2 things, Paul, that I want to tell you. So one thing as you're talking that I thought would be a great use for projects is like for forms. Like let's say you had estate planning forms that you want, you have your will forms or your living will and your healthcare power of attorney and all those. You could group your forms into a project and have that. And one thing I learned from Paul today, and you guys are going to laugh at me, but every time I looked at that little project icon, I thought it looked like a little brown present with a bow on it. And I'm so glad that you clarified that it's actually a briefcase. So, yeah.
I
That's
think
my girl
I used to think it was a brown package with a bow, too, but
yeah.
somebody else called it a briefcase when I learned that. It's funny the different icons that they have in Worldox, and sometimes they just don't look like what they're supposed to when you first see them. But yeah, that's
it all makes sense now.
It all makes sense now. You talk about forms being in a project. Let's say a firm's got a huge library of forms, and they've got their estate planning forms that the whole firm uses, and they've got their this and that and the other. But Bob, the estate planning lawyer, has just his subset of forms that he likes from estate planning, and he doesn't want to sort through the hundreds of estate planning forms that the firm has. He can say, well, I like this, and I like this,
or
and
this
this,
version.
and this.
There's so many versions of the forms. Like you said, it might not even be his, but he likes this version of this form, and he likes this version of that form, and you can have Bob's forms as a project.
Exactly.
That's great.
It's your way to pull things together from different places into something that's meaningful to you. That maybe you're going to pass on to somebody else, maybe you're not. Maybe it's just there for you. So that's that. Next month, in our Worldox Virtual User Group meeting, we will be talking about categories, which is another way that you can classify documents. Mary Jo is going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about advanced search, some ways that you can use search beyond just saying, show me all the documents for this matter. Okay? There's a lot of neat stuff in there as to how you can search and how you can zero in on certain files. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to take you out to the Attorney Computer Systems website. Notice the emphasis on the word systems, the S at the end. It's plural. And when you're here, you can click on videos. If you actually click on it, it's going to take you to this video page with all these descriptions of the videos. But if you just hover over it, it'll take you to this quick drop down where you will find all three of our virtual user group meetings, Tabs, Practice Master, and Worldox. Our Coffee Pot webinars, which is my monthly webinar series. Mary Jo's monthly eBytes video series. She records one each month for Worldox, Practice Master, and Tabs. And the now infamous Paul and Mary Jo show, where we take a very meaty topic each month and kind of go into great detail on it. These are all video titles that are here waiting for you to explore. And if you want to, for instance, find out what we're doing at the next Worldox Virtual User Group meeting, you just click on that link. You'll get a very brief description of the Worldox Virtual User Group itself, a description of the next meeting, what the topics are, 2 places where you can link to register, and, and if you scroll down, you'll find recorded versions of every Worldox Virtual User Group meeting that we've had for the last several years, because we have been recording these for a long time. So another way that you can find things, though, there's that browse method, but you can also just come up here and type categories, and you will get straight to content that is specific to the word you're searching for. So please take advantage of all this video content that we have on our site. It's there for you to use. It's free. It's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At 4 o'clock this morning, I expect at least 2 people to be here looking at videos, and I'm sure I'll find them. So everybody have a good rest of the month, and we will see you next month in February at the next Worldox Virtual User Group meeting. Thanks much. Bye-bye.